I just read Alex Hormozi's $100 million lifetime value playbook, and inside it, he talks about how to calculate LTV to CAC, which if you don't know, means lifetime value to cost to acquire a customer. And if you run paid ads, it's pretty simple to calculate. But if you're a service business doing cold outreach, warm DMs, or making free content, most people have no idea how to calculate it. And it's literally the most important number to know in your business. And every founder I speak to has literally never done this. So in this video, I'm going to be going over what all these confusing terms mean, breaking them down one by one, and showing you how you can calculate your own LTV to CAC, and then giving you examples across all the core four so that you can see where you fit and then how you can calculate it for yourself, making it super easy to understand how to do your own. And then I'm just going to give you a template here that you can plug all your numbers into, and it will output the LTV to CAC ratio and tell you whether it's a pass or a fail. So let's dive in. Now, we have here a whole bunch of stuff to go over today. I'm going to try and keep this as simple as possible because I know that this is something super confusing for you guys. So if you appreciate this, make sure you smash the like and subscribe. And if you want this template here, I'm going to be adding it to the free school group linked down below. And of course, there is still the option to get into the paid group where we're doing weekly Q&As. I'm getting on one-on-one calls with one person a week from here and ripping apart your business with ACQ AI, which is Hormozi's AI tool, and I'm rebuilding it from scratch. I've already done that for a couple guys, and it has been a game changer. So I'll go over that. I'll go over that towards the end, but let's dive into the good stuff here. So how to actually... So, okay, first of all, I've created a little cheat sheet here. Lifetime value. It should be lifetime gross profit, which Hormozi talks about. And then cost to acquire a customer is CAC. So I'll be referring to lifetime gross profit as LTV and cost to acquire a customer as CAC. A good rule of thumb is anything above a 3-to-1 ratio is good. Anything below a 3-to-1, no bueno. And essentially, this is how you get it, right? You take the lifetime value, divide it by the customer acquisition cost, which is CAC, CAC. Now, if we come here, how to actually calculate your LTGP, lifetime gross profit. Now, don't let these acronyms confuse you or overwhelm you, right? It's really simple. So first, we figure out the total amount of money left after you deliver your product or service. So what that looks like is that you take the gross profit, which is the price minus the direct cost to make and deliver the thing. So delivery and cost of goods, not overhead. So Alex uses an example of a widget that costs you $100. You sell it for $100. It costs you $20 to make and ship. And so your gross profit is $80. Now, if you're a service-based business and you have each rep can service 10 clients, so you have $30,000 of revenue minus $6,000 per rep. You have $24,000 in gross profit and then 80% margins, which is what he suggests. So it works out to be $2,400 in gross profit per client per month. All right, let's just try and keep this in your mind because this is really simple to understand. Once you start getting into recurring, things get a little bit complicated. Now, the lifetime gross profit is really easy to understand. It's just taking the gross profit and then figuring out the average number of transactions a customer makes over their lifetime. So if you have a widget and somebody buys it once and that's it, not so good, not a very good business model. If you have a service-based business and people usually stay for 2 years, then that would be it would be if they pay you monthly, 24 months times the fee that they pay you for that month, right? If you're Coca-Cola, and this actually blew my face off the other day. Just take a guess. Take a guess at the lifetime value of a Starbucks customer. Okay? So imagine that we've got the ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, Price is Right sound in the background. You go to Starbucks and you spend a $6, $9, whatever it is, on a Frappuccino latte, vanilla thing, whatever. How much money do you think Starbucks make over the lifetime of you as a customer? $14,000. Although some calculations show $25,000. So what that means is Starbucks can essentially afford to spend $24,000, or $25,000, $271 to acquire a not exactly, but in theory, they can spend that much money to acquire one customer. And so Dan Kennedy has or however you spell his name, Dan Kennedy, this old man here, is one of the OGs of the marketing space, has a famous saying, which is, whoever can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. And so when you can spend $25,000 to acquire a customer and all they need to spend is $6 every time, it's a pretty good business model. So figure out the average number of transactions a customer makes over their lifetime, and then you will get the lifetime gross profit. Now, some back of the napkin LTGP formulas for you. Again, everything is loaded up into here, so it should be sort of plug and play. But lifetime gross profit equals gross profit per purchase times average number of purchases. And then if it's recurring, lifetime gross profit equals gross profit per period divided by churn. So let's say you've got a $3,000 gross profit every 30 days divided by things. Okay, so if you've got 100 customers and 5 of them left, then that's 5 divided by 100 equals 5% churn. And so you just plug that 5% churn into here, and then you'd go $3,000 over this period divided by churn. Okay, again, I've even calculated it all here for you, so everything is automatic. So that is lifetime gross profit. This is essentially the profit that you make over the lifetime of a customer minus the cost to make the thing and deliver the thing. Really simple. Then you've got the cost of acquiring the customer. So, how to calculate this? First step, calculate everything you spent to get new customers across one channel. So, everything, break it down per channel. And then I'm going to break it down here for you, where across warm outreach, cold outreach, post-free content, run paid ads, right? This is the core 4. If you don't know what the core 4 is, what are you doing? Pick up a copy of $100 Million Leads yesterday and read that bad boy. It will change your world. So, advertising dollars, payroll, compensation for advertising, sales roles, media buying, creators, SDRs, closers, softwares, sales commissions. Not just ad spend. All of that other stuff that needs to be calculated, because it'll slowly eat away at your profits, and you wonder why you've got a 10-to-1 ROAS and why you don't have any money at the end of the month. And now you calculate how many customers you got from that channel. So you take this figure and divide it by the new customers from that channel in the same window. So we do this. Alex explicitly says to calculate CAC for each way you advertise, so you can double down on the cheapest customer source. So here is a quick cheat sheet. Advertising dollars plus sales or media payroll dollars plus any software or tools that you use plus any commissions that you pay out divided by new customers from that channel. will give you the cost of acquiring one customer. And now you have the lifetime gross profit of one customer, and you can divide it by the cost of acquiring one customer, which will give you the LTV to CAC ratio. Now, as an example, let's say that we have a $24,000 lifetime gross profit on our widget thing. And the cost of acquiring that one customer is $3,000. So we just simply take this number, divide it by this number, and then we essentially get a, we could call it 8. And I know the first time I saw this, the thing that confused me with these semicolons and the 1, and like what is this ratio here? How can this? I don't understand. But it's just basically anything above 3. Like you could get rid of that because everything divided by 1 is just itself. But it's a ratio, so we know that the for every $1 we spend on acquiring a customer, we get back 8. Okay. Now, benchmarks, like I said, 3 to 1 or better is healthy, and anything below 1 to 1 is broken, and anything much higher than 3 to 1, like 6 to 1, you're probably underspending. So you want to, Alex famously talks about how he's got like a 35 to 1 return on ad spend. I'm not exactly sure what his LTV to CAC is, but yeah, so that's something to consider. Now, I'm going to dive here into the core 4 and then give you examples across different niches and show you what it would look like if you run cold outreach, warm outreach, free content, of course, paid ads. But I would feel I need to do a service to all of the founders who are stuck in the mud, who are stuck in the swamp of they want to hire people, but they don't have enough money to be able to hire people in-house. So they do everything themselves. And they're trying to build a business so that maybe they can go out and raise funds, but they can't do that without a predictable growth engine of some kind. But they can't build that without bringing in an internal team. And so they're left in this weird like swamp area where they're doing everything, and as soon as they stop, everything falls to pieces. There's no systems, there's no people in place, and there's no funds. And so okay, I don't know if you read this book, but unbelievable, fantastic book. And if you're a founder, and if you're still doing low-level medial tasks, then your CAC is actually way, way, way higher than what we'll calculate below. Because if you are making your buyback rate is essentially your monthly revenue divided by the total monthly hours you work. So if a task can be done well for less per hour than the rate that your essential buyback rate is, then you need to be outsourcing it. So founders stuck in the weeds, wearing multiple hats, please, dear God, hire somebody. So if we have a look, and let's take a $10,000 a month sort of person, and then we divide that by, let's say, I don't know, you're working 60 hours a week. So you're making $166 per hour, essentially. So anything that you're doing that you can hire out at under $166 an hour, you should be doing. So if you're still scraping leads, you're still like managing instantly campaigns, you're still writing copy, and you can hire it out at the same level of quality or even slightly greater sometimes for less than $166 an hour, that's what you should be doing. And if you're at $50,000 a month, this is not an exact science that's going to apply below, but just to give you an idea. And if you want me to break down how to buy back your time and how to like take this number and like follow the book, basically, because he gives you it's a fantastic book that teaches you how to get your life back if you feel like you've given it all to your business and you're spending 120 hours a week and you've got no life and you're being pulled in 1,000 directions wearing all these different hats. So if you're doing $50,000 a month and you're doing 70 hours a week, then anything below $700 an hour, you need to be outsourcing it. Please, dear God. Okay, that's out of the way. I felt like Hormozi doesn't talk about this explicitly. What he does is he says anything inside his calculations are all based on replacement costs. And so how much would it cost to replace that task at fair market rate? But many of you are not charging out at fair market rate. You're charging out at $700 an hour because you're stuck in the weeds doing something ridiculous instead of growing the business. All right, moving on. So let's have a look at the first example, which is paid ads, which is the easiest to understand. And if you run paid ads, good for you. Many people out there don't. Let's say that we have a dog biscuit product, which is a transactional product, and it costs us $50. And so over here you can see D2C dog food. We run paid ads. It's transactional. You know, we can choose from here. Now, the gross profit, $50 is the price per bag. Direct delivery. So ingredients, packaging, pack, shipping fees, it comes in at $32.50 all in. So our gross profit per bag is $17.50, right? This is cost of goods and fulfillment only, not like, you know, overheads and all these other crazy things. And then the average lifetime purchases per customer is 6. So the lifetime gross profit is simply this number, which is the gross profit, $17.50 times 6, $105. And if I ever thought that I was going to be teaching math on the internet with videos, if you told that to me in high school, I would have laughed my butt off. But here we are. You know, it's really important to know these numbers. And then the cost of acquiring a customer. So let's say you spend $10,000 on Facebook ads and you get 500 customers. Now, most people would go, the cost of acquiring a customer is $10,000 divided by 500. However, you need to take into consideration payroll and tools, right? And so if we add another $2,500 on top of that, we actually, like, the total cost is not $10,000, but it's $12,500. And then if we divide that by 500 customers, the CAC is actually $25. And then at the end of that, we can extrapolate this ratio, 4.2 to 1. Very healthy. Now, I put here the costs of acquiring a customer with ads is pretty obvious. Alex always includes payroll and software. So count them in your calculations. Otherwise, your ratios are going to look inflated. And then you can be one of these drop shippers who says that they make $800,000 a month, but really their margins are 5%, and they go home with nothing. And now the next one here, we've got cold outreach. So you can see here, I'm just going through the core four: run paid ads, cold outreach, warm outreach, post free content. So let's say that you have a lead generation agency, which is a $3,000 recurring payment. And to get clients, you run cold outreach. And so the costs associated with cold outreach are different than they are with paid ads, right? It's much more software intensive, and instead of paying Zuckerberg, you pay instantly or whatever. And speaking of cold outreach, I have recently added in the classroom here, and I'm going to continue adding my full methods for scraping leads, enriching leads with AI, and getting 20% positive reply rates, which is outrageous. And when you do cold outreach with these methods, you print cash. people are being overwhelmed with leads. Like literally clients have had to say to me, Jordan, please stop sending the leads. There's so many, we can't handle them. And I'm like, well, let's bring in more people, right? So anyway, if you want that, plus a whole bunch of extra stuff, every Monday we are doing a group Q&A. There's more than 100 people in the Shipping Society. We're keeping each other accountable. You can see here, everybody is posting accountability posts, keeping each other accountable, making sure that day 3 out of 100, they're checking in. We're doing 100 minutes, 100 days, meaningful actions every single day, shipping work. Shipping one piece of meaningful work every single day for 100 days. It'll change your life. It'll change your business. What's that worth to you? $90. Of course it is. It's worth thousands, right? So if you want that, the second link in the description, highly recommend you check out the Shipping Society. We're doing some fantastic stuff in here, and it's only getting better. I'm going to be starting to run some giveaways and giving away free merch, and I'm also picking one person from here per week to go through your business, rip it apart, and then get on a call with me where I use ACQ AI to break down your business and tell you, so you can see here, get on a call with me, break down your business using ACQ AI, rebuild it from scratch. I'm only doing that for people from this group. So if that's something you want to do, second link in the description. Anyway, I had to plug that. We're 20 minutes in, and I felt like I need to get that out of my system. This was a perfect segue. Cold outreach. That's what I do all day, every day, and that's what I'm building inside the Shipping Society. If you run paid ads or whatever, I'm also going to be adding a whole bunch of stuff around that, but we're starting with cold outreach. Okay, so gross profit. Inputs and gross profit. We've got $3,000 MRR. Now, Alex talks about having 80% gross profit on a service business like this, so we're going to assume that $2,400 is our gross profit. Now, the lifetime gross profit is the monthly churn. So you take the $2,400 from before and divide it by 5%. So people don't stay with you forever, do they? But they do. They don't stay with you forever, but they will eventually churn, right? And so we've got lifetime gross profit is $2,400 divided by 5%, meaning that people basically stay with you for a very, very, very long time, which is very common in this space. Like, I think I've had one client churn over the last 3 years or something, and that was because of weird circumstances in their personal life. And so, it's a fantastic business model to get into. Highly recommend it. Now, the cost of acquiring that customer is a little bit more involved here, right? You've got outreach tools like Instantly or Apollo or Verifiers, etc., $200. Domains, inboxes, warmers, $100. SDRs, appointment setters, payroll, $3,000. Sales commissions, $800. So the total cost to acquire one customer could be up to $4,000. And over a month, we could get 4 new clients. And so $4,000 divided by 4 new customers gives us $1,031 cost to acquire one customer, right? Because we use this, all of these figures add up to acquire, like to run the business for the month. Now, I put here in little print, if you still do part of the SDR scraping yourself, add those hours at the replacement rate for that role to the compensation bucket. This is how Alex calculates it, but really, like you've seen before, if I go through this properly and you're actually charging it out, your buyback rate, the CAC was going to be like negative 5,000 because your time is so much more valuable than somebody scraping leads, for example. All right, so you can see here we get a 46.6 to 1 LTV to CAC ratio. Cold outreach CAC is payroll driven, and Alex counts compensation. So if a human does it, even you, it sits in CAC. Now, warm outreach coaching program. So let's say that you have a one-time high-ticket $5,000 coaching program, but you do warm outreach, and you're like, well, what's the cost of warm outreach? All right, well, let's see. So you sell it for $5,000 minus $1,000 in like coaching hours, platform materials, etc. So $4,000 is your gross profit. Lifetime gross profit, $5,000 time minus $1,000, $4,000. And now the cost of acquiring a customer. So we have an outreach setter payroll, we say replacement costs, 10 hours. Customers closed from this sprint 5. So cost of acquiring a customer is $500 divided by 5 equals $100. So you can see that the cost of acquiring one customer is extremely low, and the lifetime gross profit of a customer is extremely high. Therefore, we get a crazy return, 40-1. So this is not uncommon if you have a really warm audience. Obviously, it's a dream to have something like this, but when you try to scale, you'll find that this LTV to CAC will significantly reduce, right? Warm feels free, but per Alex, compensation for advertising sales work belongs in CAC. And then this one I think is really interesting here. The last one on this list is free content, right? So let's say you have a creator mini course. It's a transactional $197 price. And you sell courses about how to sell courses, on what to sell courses, into what to sell, or whatever you guys are doing. So the gross profit is, you have to excuse me if I sound delusional, it's 3 a.m. and today has been the busiest day of this whole week. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm in the shipping society. We made a commitment that for 100 days, we are shipping one meaningful piece of work. And so no matter what, I'm shipping it. And you can see that. So is everybody else. And that's why we're here. All right. Putting it out for you guys. If you've made it this far in the video, I think it would be fantastic if you left a rocket emoji in the comments below. It will give me so much motivation to continue making these videos, because 28 minutes in, is there still somebody listening that's getting value from this? If that's you, leave a rocket emoji below and I will know that I'm making these videos for you. Okay, cool. So $197, and we've got the cost of delivering that, processor fees, platform fees, etc. So let's say $47, 197 minus 47, we're left with $150 in gross profit. Now, they buy it once, right? So we still have $150. And the cost of acquiring a customer here. Okay, so let's go through what does it cost to create short form content? Well, if you track your time using Dan Martell's tracker, or if you'd like me to make a video about how to do that and put together a template on like how I track my time across the week, because as soon as I did that, it was like life-changing. I have read that book, and so many high-level entrepreneurs have told me that I need to track my time, and that's the first step. I'm like, yeah, I know roughly what I do with my time. I don't need to track. Trust me, guys, when you track your time, you are so much more productive. I even have this little timer here that like counts down time, so I can see everything in front of me, but I have tools and I use ClickUp and stuff like this to track things. So if you're not tracking your time, if you don't know how long it takes you to make a piece of content, like you would be shocked at how long it takes me to make these videos. Forget about the 30 minutes of filming, but all the prep and all the ideation, it's hours and hours. And so this is why I'm up until 3 a.m. and not sleeping. So 30 short posts times 1 hour times $30 an hour for the creator equals $900. Editing, caption, payroll, tools, scheduling tools. So the acquisition cost, or the total cost, is $1,500. Now, new customers attributed to the Instagram content, let's say we've got 20. So you go 1,550 divided by 20 means that each customer costs us $77.50 to acquire. And then if we take 150 and then we divide it by the amount of money it costs us to acquire that customer, we get 1.94 to 1. So you can see here, this example is below 3 to 1, which is not ideal. And again, content, attention, they all look free until you start counting in creator hours and how many hours are you spending on a task. And it's slightly different when you're creating free content because it's all about branding and the rest of it. But if we're just looking at the numbers here and you're looking at the editing and all the other stuff that you can outsource, it's not free, right? So calculate all of that in your free content. And if it's below 3, maybe look at changing some things around or axing it completely and going with something slightly different. So that's that's how you calculate your LTV to CAC and your lifetime gross profit to cost of customer acquisition costs. And I imagine that very few of you clicked on this link because it's quite cerebral, and it's this. This is not the sexy stuff, is it? Like, everybody wants to know the hooks that are inside the ads playbook, and that video is going to come over the next couple of days. But this stuff is really important because if you're growing a business and you're just throwing money against the wall and hoping that whatever comes out at the end is more than what you threw in, you're not really a business owner, are you? You're playing with it, and that's most likely why you've not gotten the results that you want. So I would highly recommend that you go through this process. I'm going to leave a link inside the Dopamine Digital free group for this template here, and go through and fill it out, and then all of this kind of calculation is done for you. So let's go through this. We go test. All right, we go cold outreach, warm outreach. Okay, and let's say it's transactional, and let's say it's $2,000. Our product, right? And delivery cost, we have calculated, costs $1,000, and they make 2 purchases, and then there's no churn rate because it's a one-time situation, and this is the gross profit. You can see it's calculating here by itself. This is the lifetime gross profit. You can see it's calculating. Now, advertising, we don't spend $1 on. Compensation and payroll, let's say it's $1,500. Software is $400, and commission is, $450. And new customers, we get 25 of these bad boys a month. And so our CAC is 94, which would give us a 21.27 to 1 ratio. And so does it pass? Hell yeah. Passes with flying colors. So go through this. I'm going to leave this, like I said, linked in the free group. We're doing some really exciting stuff in the Shipping Society. This is the private mastermind group. So if you want to be part of this group, I highly recommend you jumping in before the price goes up again. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching this incredibly boring, numbers-driven, cerebral type of video. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.